Coach, I know you can always say life on the road in the Mountain West.
Oh, yeah.
You look at the numbers and stuff, you guys will say, oh, this will be an easy trip over there. What are your thoughts on going over to CSU?
Well, you know, historically our games with Colorado State have been, we've had some crazy ones and usually right down to the wire, and you know, I always expect nothing less. You know, it's going to be a battle, and we got to have our minds right and ready to go play on the road. It's that time of year where, you know, you see some teams heading for the barn and other teams like trying to peak, and we want to be a team that keeps getting better even in late February.
They've obviously lost 8 out of 9. You guys are obviously, you know, trying to ascend in the opposite direction. When you see a team that's struggling like that and they're dealing with all this stuff with the coaches and stuff, you know, and you guys are obviously, you know, trying to, you know, do some big things here. How do you kind of look at it because the teams are kind of in opposite spots?
Well, number one, like you said, it's a Mountain West road game, so that, you know, that's we know what that is all about. And number two, you know, they've gone through some different things. You don't know, you know, I don't know the inner workings of that team. I don't know where they are mentally or all those things. But, you know, you control what you can control, and that's our team. And we're just going to prep the best way we can and go with the most energy we can, and that's what it's about.
Does it feel like a completely different year? I mean, you guys played them back in December at that point in time. I mean, just for you guys, you know, as a team, what has changed, you feel like, the most since that first meeting?
Well, you're right. It does. It feels like you played them in the preseason back in, you know, the tournament in Myrtle Beach or something. I mean, it felt that long ago, but because we played so many games since then, and you know, lots happened to them, lots happened to us, and so, you know, you just regroup. It's a new game and a new situation, and like I said, we worry about ourselves and go out and let it rip.
Can you remember a time where you played somebody with this much gap, like the first game of the conference and then almost like third to last? I mean,
I can't. Yeah. I mean, that, you know, this is maybe one of the bigger gaps that we've
sometimes
seen.
It's like 2 weeks and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
but, you know, I think last year, I think we played San Diego State in the early, and then we played them in the conference tournament. It wasn't a regular game, so It was kind of a situation like that.
Is scouting and game planning a little bit different for them just because of all the turmoil they've had to deal with?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. You know, Mike Burns went through something like this at Pacific, and you know, you're undermanned in a little bit, but you know, your focus is probably just on getting your team mentally ready. It's not, you know, all the other stuff has to probably get put secondary, but just to get your team in the right place mentally is the most important thing for us always.
Heard a lot about these guys like liking each other off the court and stuff, and the bond. We heard it going back before the season, and it sounds like that really is the case with this group. I know you don't like to compare teams and stuff, but where does the off the court kind of bond and wanting to play with each other with this team kind of compare to some of the other teams you can remember?
Yeah, you know, we've had good chemistry here on the court, and but like you said, this might be the team that fits together the best and cares about, you know, each other on and off the court. And like I said, you know, you're talking about a high standard because I think all our teams have done that.
Well, why do you think that? You got 2 grad transfers that didn't know anybody till the summer. I mean, why do you think that is? These guys have kind of gelled.
You know, we just got great kids, and they got high character guys, and that's, you know, bringing those 2 transfers in, and they were about all the right things. You know, they're about the team, they're about winning, they're about representing the right way, and you know, so that's when you get a bunch of guys with really good intentions. I think they all hit it off and they all care about each other, and that's why they want to do it.
Going back to your transfers, what was the pitch that you gave them to, hey, come out here to Boise State, we got something special for you?
Well, first, you know, you don't want to take a guy that, you don't want to promise a kid that, like, you're going to come here and start here, and then they don't, because they have one chance. And so, you know, we saw opportunity for both of them, and that's, you know, playing time is what's important to them. And, you know, like Christian's situation, he had all kinds of places he could go, and I think he saw the opportunity to win and opportunity for him to be a big part of what we do here, and I think Lexus felt the same way.
Did both of those players exceed their expectations at what you expected out of them? Right?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I had high expectations for him, and you know, Christian had a long history of, you know, starting in the Atlantic 10, which is a great league, and you know, when we got him, I remember coaches in the Atlantic 10 were telling me, you got one of the top 15 players in the league. I mean, he's really good. And so you get that, you get a pretty special guy. And same with Lexus. The thing about Lexus is, you know, he had been coming off injuries and stuff, but you saw on film that you're like, man, this kid looks like he's better than what his numbers tell you. And then when you got to know him, you're like, wow, that's a high character kid, and he fit in just perfectly.
This time of the year, maybe you guys are trying to get beat up, a little bit worn down. And how are you guys doing at this point in time? Plus, just with the schedule, do you like how it's laid out, where you get Colorado State, but then you guys have a nice little gap again?
Yeah, it seems like that's a great time to have it. You know, I mean, UNLV, like, they had both their buys within the first, like, 3 weeks. I mean, that's rough. And then that makes for a long, long grind. And, you know, I think they're more valuable. Your team needs them, your bodies need them, your minds need them later in the year. So, you know, given the choice, but you don't get the choice, that's when you'd like to have them.
Chris was saying after the game, you know, one of the reasons, you know, because they like each other so much, they just kind of said, forget about the bubble and all that. Let's just go out and play these games. What did you say something to them about that? Or
yeah, we had a lot of talk about where we are, and you know, everybody was kind of devastated by that week, and it's a tough week, and that's sports. You just got to bounce back, and you got to be able to, you know, you got to be able to keep competing, and that's I think that was the biggest focus. And you know, we talked about some other things about this team too.
Is that a worry as a coach, where you know you tell them, you know, keep the blinders on, whatever, but they have social media, they, you know, read stuff, and there was so much put on that, you know, Nevada game, and for people like us, whoever, saying, oh, they have to win the tournament now, they have no chance. I mean, is that a worry as a coach? You don't know which way it's going to go the last 4 games, or? Well,
yeah, but you know, we talk about a lot of that stuff, and talk about, you know, our mindset as a team, and I think that's probably the most important thing. And you know, now you got another opportunity, and you got 21 wins, and you know, you're still heading where you got 3 more games ahead of you, and then the conference tournament. So there's a lot to still accomplish.
As you watch the college basketball landscape, do you think this is an NCAA tournament team?
Yeah, I do, and I think you know, I've got that from a lot of people. I mean, you know, I remember one year we played Memphis when I was at Gonzaga, and Memphis hit a buzzer beater, and you know, both teams were kind of on the, you know, the proverbial bubble, and Calipari said to us, so because we made that buzzer beater, we're an NCAA tournament team and you're not, or if we miss that, you're an NCAA tournament and we're not. I mean, I think that's what's kind of crazy about it. Like, and you could talk about Chandler's last shot. Like, he misses that, he makes that last shot, we're NCAA worthy. You know, it's just funny that way how one. But when you watch the game, I think the look tests tell you that that's it.
Do you think the committee watches enough of your games that they're going to give you a fair? I mean, the numbers are what they are, the quadrants and all that stuff. I mean, you guys just don't have a ton of chances to get big wins.
Yeah, right.
Do you think that you have faith, I guess, that the committee is going to give you the
and you don't and you don't, you know. First of all, that, like I said, there's a lot left to play out, so we'll see that. But you know, you just don't know what's going on all around the country and what they truly are going to value the most. You know, do they? You know, in the old days, they used to put last 10 games up there. What if they're doing that? What does that do to different teams? So I don't know. I don't know what's going to be the deciding factor when you're comparing 30 teams, and they got to compare apples and oranges and all kinds of different fruits. It's not just 2. It's like, oh, there's bananas. It's tough to compare all that.
Do you see yourself like seeing if other bubble teams win or lose on a given night, or do you look at how closely?
First of all, I just watch a lot of college basketball, and but I don't. I remember one year, like 15 years ago, when I was analyzing it all, and okay, if this happens, it was torture. You know, I mean, it was crazy, and all the crazy stuff would happen. So I moved on from that. That's too much to figure out and too much to worry about.
With that said, do you see the Mountain West getting back to a 2-bid league as well?
Well, it certainly should. I mean, what happens sometimes is these leagues, and you go back to the Pac-12 a couple years ago when they got 7 teams, and the team that was between Washington and Oregon State hit a buzzer beater to beat them, got in. Washington went down to San Diego State, got beat by 30 in an NIT game, basically, and you're like, well. Because it just self-sustained itself. I mean, the numbers just kept rolling, but they weren't really true. And so I think you get in the league and the numbers just keep, like, well, this team keeps losing, but they're playing such good numbers, teams, that they don't get punished for it. But in the end, I just always feel like you got to be able to win some games,